Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that something has changed. Everything looks the same. The houses stand where they always have. People rush to work. The news broadcasts its usual headlines. But in the air, there's a strange sense of falseness, as if reality itself has shifted slightly to the side. You step outside and see people who speak and act in the exact same way. They repeat the same phrases, display the same emotions. Their smiles feel too forced and their aggression too predictable. You ask yourself, am I losing my mind, or has the world around me gone insane? That thought is frightening, but it becomes the starting point of our conversation. Today, we'll talk about a phenomenon psychologists call mass psychosis. This concept explains why entire societies can lose touch with reality, fall prey to illusions, and ultimately destroy themselves. Mass psychosis is not a medical diagnosis and not the madness of a single individual. It is a form of collective distortion of perception when vast numbers of people begin to believe in lies, follow absurd rules, and accept them as normal. History provides many examples. The witch hunts of the Middle Ages, when thousands of women were burned at the stake simply because the crowd believed in witchcraft. The dancing plague of 1518 in Strasbourg, when hundreds of people began to dance uncontrollably until they collapsed from exhaustion or even died. The waves of mass hysteria during political dictatorships, when millions supported openly brutal regimes convinced it was justice. The common thread between all these examples is clear. People stopped thinking for themselves. They trusted the crowd and allowed fear to dictate their behavior. To understand mass psychosis, we need to look into the psychology of the crowd. The French thinker Gustave Le Bon, in his book The Psychology of Peoples and Crowds, wrote that within a crowd, a person loses their individuality. They cease to be themselves, dissolving into the collective mind. In this state, they become more suggestible, more emotional, and more willing to embrace extremes. Why does this happen? The answer lies in our evolution. Humans have always been social beings. For an ancient tribe, exile meant death. That's why within us still lives a primal fear, the fear of being rejected by the group. This was later confirmed by the famous experiment of Solomon Asch. Participants were shown lines of different lengths and asked to identify the correct one. The answer was obvious, but when planted participants deliberately gave the wrong response, real subjects started agreeing with them, even against the evidence of their own eyes. The conclusion is simple. Humans are inclined to sacrifice truth for the sake of belonging. Mass psychosis never appears by chance. It develops step by step. Disorientation. People feel chaos, uncertainty, crisis. The world seems too complex. Simplification. A simple explanation emerges. An enemy, a culprit, an ideology. Everything turns black and white. Conformity. The majority adjusts to the new norm, even if they quietly doubt it inside. Aggression. Those who disagree are branded as enemies. Persecution and harassment begin. Awakening. Eventually, the illusion collapses, the truth breaks through, and society goes through a painful realization. History shows that every empire, every cult, and every dictatorship has gone through these stages. The main fuel of mass psychosis is fear. Fear paralyzes the mind and pushes us to seek ready-made answers. Politicians, religious leaders, and the media all understand the power of fear and exploit it. History is full of examples. Fear of heresy fueled the fires of the Inquisition. Fear of the enemy united nations around dictators. Fear of disease or crisis can make people abandon logic and accept absurd restrictions. Fear is not always irrational. Dangers are real. But when fear becomes the main instrument of control, society ends up trapped. It may seem that mass psychosis is a problem of the past, but a quick look at the present makes it clear. It never disappeared. On social media, rumors and conspiracy theories spread rapidly, repeated by people without any verification. Mass flash mobs and trends push millions to act the same way, even when it looks ridiculous. Political polarization tears societies apart, with each side convinced the other is insane. The only difference is that today, information spreads instantly. If in the past, mass hysteria could consume a city or a country, now it can engulf the entire world within hours. You might think, that's not me, I think for myself. But the truth is, none of us are completely immune. Our brains are wired to seek simplicity, safety, and confirmation of our beliefs. That's why we tend to trust authorities, follow the majority, and avoid uncomfortable questions. Add to that fatigue, information overload, and constant stress, and it becomes clear why millions of people so readily choose illusion over truth. But illusion always comes with a price. When a society abandons critical thinking, it becomes vulnerable to manipulation. It may support unjust laws, destructive wars, or false ideologies. And the most terrifying part, people caught in mass psychosis never see themselves as insane. They are convinced They are the normal ones. And you, the one asking questions, are the dangerous one. This flips reality upside down. Truth becomes heresy and lies become virtue. So what can be done? Is it possible to protect your mind? Yes, but it requires discipline, critical thinking, verify sources, and question even the things you want to believe. Emotional awareness. Notice when fear or anger are being used to control you. Silence. Learn to disconnect from the constant stream of information so you can hear yourself. Communication. Seek out people who are willing to think, not just repeat slogans. Courage. Sometimes you must speak the truth even if your voice shakes, but the greatest defense against mass psychosis is inner freedom. You must learn to live in such a way that your sense of worth does not depend on the crowd. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once wrote, "The crowd is untruth. Truth always begins within the individual. And if you are able to stand in that truth, even when everyone around you believes otherwise, you become free, and the freedom of one person can become an example for many." And now a question for you. Are your thoughts truly your own? Or are they just an echo of the crowd stuck inside your head? If this video made you think, support the channel, like, subscribe, and share it with those who are ready to wake up. Because a real revolution doesn't begin in squares or on barricades. It begins within, in the minds and hearts of those who dare to think for themselves.